All right, Shalom. I want to start out by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Shema, Shabbat, Shem, Kakodash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders, great millstone. Shalom to all the Akim pushing the word of sincerity and in truth. Yeah, I want to do a lesson on the Northern Kingdom. More so geographical lesson. And I want to touch on this, the Horn of Africa, which that's where the Northern Kingdom actually went through. It said that they went through the river Euphrates in the book of Ezra. All right. And I'm gonna read that precept, and they came up out of the horn, came up from the Horn of Africa, and they went to the as we know as America, and was spiritual. They got actually Cape of Good Hope around the Horn of Africa, and they got a Cape of Good Hope here in America, and what people know is basically New England. The where the colonizers mainly was the pilgrims or whatnot was settled. They were basically in this location. Now, dealing with the 10 tribes, they were all throughout. We are familiar with Brazil, South America, Central America, North America. All these different countries. That's where the 12 tribes were stationed at. Because when you go into the history, of course, you had the Southern and Northern Kingdom wars, and the Southern Kingdom, more so the Northern Kingdom bucked up against the Southern Kingdom, through Jeroboam and Rehoboam. You had Rehoboam, which was the son of Solomon, and you had Jeroboam that bucked up against Rehoboam, mainly due to taxes. That was the point that Rehoboam spoke about, having his thumb harder, more heavier than his father's loins. So he was going to impose very harsh tribute upon the tribes. And then they had the man that was a tributary to basically collect. And if I'm not mistaken, the Northern Kingdom actually killed that man. And it was so-called beef ever since. So, the Southern and Northern Kingdoms was getting into it. And the Most High, allowed the Assyrians to actually put the Northern Kingdom into hardcore bondage. All right. And as it is written, they took it upon themselves to break off and to actually establish and do their own thing, And I did this lesson twice. I've been having a few cutouts, but I was thinking in the spirit, just like the Haitian revolutions, how they got their independence and broke off from the French with Napoleon Bonaparte. Basically, somewhat the same thing with Shalmaneser V. They basically rebelled and had a successful campaign. However they revolted. The scriptures don't give all these extra details, but it just hit the point. And we all know through the spirit, they broke off from them and they established their own thing in the Americas. All right, so I wanted to get this point on the Cape of Good Hope, because that's the area location, the Horn of Africa. And I want to bring out this point with Esau, how he, as it is written, surely of turning of things upside down shall be esteemed that is as a potter's clay, in Isaiah the 29th chapter, the 16th verse. Because prior to it being called the Cape of Good Hope, it was known as the Cape of Storms. All right. So it says the Cape was originally named the Cape of Storms in the 1480s by the Portuguese explorer Bartholomew Diaz. It was later renamed to Good Hope to attract more people to the Cape Sea route that passed the southern coast of Africa. And why did they need to invite more people? Because this horn is a very, storms or whatnot is a very hard area to actually get through. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that died in history and had a very difficult time getting around that Horn of Africa. And you see Esau, basically repackaged it to attract people to actually go through that area, but it's mainly known as the Cape of Storms prior to the Cape of Good Hope, And I wanted to bring out that point because that's even written in the scriptures, all right, about how difficult it was to actually get around that horn. And I'll just hit the point. 2nd Ezra 13 and start at 39. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea. Here it says Hosea, but we know that being Hosea, the king whom Shalmaneser the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. You see, what's that other land that basically never mankind dwelt, as it is written in the 41st verse? The Americas. Nobody lived in those lands. When you read the book of Kings, it speaks about Solomon actually, having the Hamites do say excursions or have their expeditions, so to speak, to the Americas to actually get products, resources, and bring them back. That's the most interaction they had towards the Western world, but actually living there as a main settlement, people weren't living there. All right, so it says, but they took this counsel among themselves. Who took this counsel? The northern kingdom, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen being the Assyrians, and go forth into a further country, all right, the Western world, where never mankind dwelt. What's to prove that? The movie 1492. All right, and that's why even with Yahweh Shai, he said, other sheep I have that are not of this fold. Those other sheep represented the northern kingdom. And they enter into the Euphrates by the narrow passage of the river. Yeah, they didn't enter in through the barren straits. They entered in through the Euphrates. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. So the Cape of Storms. All right, the Most High held back basically that cape or that area of storms in the Horn of Africa until they were passed over, and then he allowed that aggressive flood, as it is written, to get back to doing his thing. Just like during the time of Yahweh Shai, when he basically calmed down the boisterous winds, and the waves that were basically rocking. They had it had the disciples a little shook up. You see, so yeah, the words of the Most High are faithful and true. And when you do your extensive research, you see how everything actually comes together. All right, like a well-oiled machine. Verse 45. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. Right. So even when you go into the accounts in Kings, it spoke about the space of 3 years with Hiram. It said in that same region is called Arsareth. Then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now they shall begin to come. Yeah, so that's really the main point. Like I said, I wanted to make it short and sweet. I want to actually highlight this one point with concerning King Solomon, because King Solomon was dealing also. Here it is, 1 Kings 10 and 22. King Solomon being all knowledgeable, Yahweh Shai in his pre-incarnation, he understood that it was a whole nother continent, a whole nother hemisphere. All right. Well, I'll just say, yeah. Coast, you had the east, you had the eastern hemisphere, you had the, basically the western, he knew that there was two sides, all right, where you had here, you had Africa, the land of Ham, the land of Japheth, all these different lands. But then there was a whole nother side of the world, so to speak, where actually, because when you go back to Genesis, you had the so-called Pangea. In today's time, it's known as Pangea, which deals with all geography coming together. That was prior to the flood, and basically, that's why it says, basically, the earth being divided, because the flood waters actually broke up the different continents, and it's proven that you could actually put all the continents together, and they match up perfectly. All right, 1 Kings 10 and 21. And all King Solomon's drinking vessels were of gold, and all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were of pure silver, and none were of silver. It was nothing counted of in the days of Solomon. For the king had at sea a navy of Tarshish, which Tarshish is Spain, with the navy of Hiram. Once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory, apes, and peacocks. Yeah, so it's once in the book of Ezra, it speaks about a year and a half, and this one speaks about once every 3 years, because it took that time frame to get there and back. So King Solomon, exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. Yeah, and that's really the main point. I wanted to just make it short and sweet to, prove that and to add credit to this book, because this book is historical, spiritual. The geography, the times, the dates, all things match up. It's just about the ones that's able to rightly divide the truth or connect the dots. So hopefully, brothers, and a few sisters were edified. We're going to end it by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yah, Bashim Shai, Bashim Kakodash, double honor to the apostle and others, a great millstone. Shalom Amaki.